First of all, I want to say good morning. I'm coming to you from Budapest, Hungary, and I want to welcome you all to the 2013 chapter, and I also want to welcome the visitors, Father Kevin and Mary Ann Bittner. For example, if it's 10 o'clock in Marathon City, it's 5 o'clock where I am, and I'm probably getting ready to sit down to supper with our daughter and her family. I want to start by presenting the financial report for the 2012. This is the one that's in your folder, and it has the last year's figures on it. And you'll notice that the income of $28,417 compared to the budget of $26,813 is a favorable variance of over $1,600. Next, the expenses of $26,230 compared to the budget of $26,813 is also a favorable variance of over $500. That means that we missed our budget by over $2,187, but that's all favorable. And part of this is a result of the fact that you'll notice that the donation income is over budget by over $2,200. And most of this is due to the fact that the members of the Executive Regional Council have opted to return their expense reimbursement checks, either in part or in full. The second item that we want to cover is the 2013 income financial statement to date. This is comparing the first half of 2013 with the budget of half of 2013 budget, which you approved last year on June 23rd at this chapter. The included on this same paper is the budget for 2014, and that is put together by using the figures from this year, from last year, with the figures from this year, and trying to come up with the best guess that we can come up with. So you'll notice that the fair share received so far this year is $8,777.50, and that's not quite half of the budgeted $22,300, mostly because some fraternities have not paid yet for the second quarter because this report was prepared several weeks ago before I left. So, but I'm not worried about that because the fraternities have been very good about keeping up with that. The retreat subsidy is, we paid out for 29 retreats over $1,900 since we started this 5 years ago. And last year, I wanted to, we presented the budget. I said that the retreat subsidy program, the CD, was going to mature in May of 2013. And this happened, and we didn't know what was going to happen after that. But we found out that the Catholic Foundation, with a minimum of $25,000, would pay us 5%. Now 5% is close to the 5.25% we were getting, but it's better than the 1% you can get on CDs. So we thought of putting what we had in there and then waiting for the $25,000 to come up. Anyway, we prayed about it, and I talked to some friends of Ev and explained to them what we were doing. And in answer to a prayer, an individual, who we want to remain anonymous, said, he asked if he could put $10,000 into the fund to bring up to the minimum of $25,000. And he did, and the only condition is that he remain anonymous, or they remain anonymous. So we have the retreat subsidy, or the endowment fund with the Catholic Foundation, with the approval of the Regional Executive Council, and we basically renamed it to the Retreat Subsidy, or Retreat and Education Fund. Therefore, one half of the proceeds will go for retreat subsidies, the other half will go for education at Father Lester's request when he suggested that we have a budget for training aspiring folks who are aspiring to become spiritual assistants. And so at this point, I budgeted $625,000 for retreat subsidies and $625,000 for education. Getting back to the retreat subsidies, some people are reluctant to apply for retreat subsidies because they're embarrassed about it. I want to assure you that everything on the retreat subsidy application is held in strict confidence, and even the Regional Executive Council doesn't know who these people are. This decision is made by the minister and the treasurer only, and everything is kept strictly confidential. Now, the next thing I want to cover is that if anybody is contemplating becoming a part of the Regional Executive Council, please be aware that this is a commitment of time, and we try not to have it cost you anything out of your pocket in the way of dollars. Everything, all legitimate expenses are reimbursed by the region, and if you opt to donate this back to the region, we thank you, and I still need the information for budget purposes so that we aren't muddying up any of the figures. And if you do donate it back, it never goes directly into the expense as a reduction of the expenses, because that'll just muddy it up. We picked it up as a donation, and is handled that way. And we don't want, if your successor can't afford to do the same thing, we don't want them to feel intimidated into doing it if they can't do it. So that's why that is reported that way. Now to the budget of 2014. First of all, I'm budgeting a fair share payment to NAFRA as 424 members, which is the number I have in my count as of now. If that increases, of course, that'll affect the payment to NAFRA as well as the income from the fraternities, but that'll all be relative. But NAFRA has increased their fair share assessment from $15 to $17 in 2014. And the largest item of expense in the budget is the travel. This travel is for the Regional Executive Council to travel for visitations, for elections, for Regional Executive Council meetings, and for district gatherings. So we try to keep, and I'm trying to keep the fair share to our regions at the level that has been since 2005. Now I'm also budgeting the payout for the retreat subsidy in the same $625 that we're getting for the from the endowment fund. Now, at this time, as I'm presenting the budget, I'm sure that there are some items that will fall short while others will run over. But as a Regional Executive Council, we will try our very best to stay within these guidelines. So at this point, I'm going to turn this over to Bob Henning, who will answer your questions and take it from here. And after my presentation, I will expect, I'm looking for two motions, one to accept the 2012 financial report and the second to accept the budget, either as it is or with suggested changes. So at this point, I'm going to turn it over to Bob. So respectfully submitted, Peter Bekkers, Treasurer. But before I do, I want to leave you with this little note entitled A Loving Wife's Approach to Solving the Midlife Crisis. Some time ago, when we were approaching our 50th wedding anniversary, I looked at my wife and I said, honey, when we got married 50 years ago, We were living in a cheap apartment, driving a cheap clunker of a car. We were watching a 10-inch black and white TV and sleeping on a sofa bed. But I was sleeping with a hot and sexy 21-year-old late gal. Now I have a $650,000 home, a $55,000 car, a 65-inch plasma screen TV, and I have a nice big king-size bed. But I'm sleeping with a 71-year-old woman. It seems to me that you have not been holding up your end of the bargain. Now my wife, this is my wife's approach to solving a midlife crisis. My wife is a very reasonable woman. She calmly looked at me and she said, why don't you go out and find a 21-year-old gal, and I'll see to it that you have, again, a cheap apartment, a clunker of a car, a 10-inch black and white TV, and a sofa bed. Thank you.